taking a trip back in time. I'm going to introduce you to a very special person. Me, but from 3 years ago. Everyone meet 14-year-old Fred, back in 2018, vibing. Now, what you might not know about 14-year-old Fred is that back then, she was going through a very rough patch in her life. You see, what 14-year-old Fred went through is something that no one should have to go through. And it's something that she still can't talk about today without her voice shaking, which we will call the big bad thing. Now, after a few months, she spoke out about the big bad thing. However, you might be wondering, why did she wait a few months before speaking out? The answer is simple. She was little, lonely, and naive, and she was very scared and wasn't sure if anyone would care about what she said, if it was worth anybody's time to hear her out, or if anyone would believe her. However, she got some strength, and after a series of events, she decided to speak out about what had happened. And the big bad boy that did the big bad thing received consequences for it. However, 14-year-old Fred received some consequences too. People kept asking her stuff such as, "Why didn't you speak out sooner?" Or telling her stuff such as, "If it were true, you wouldn't have taken so long to speak out." Things went so far that the big bad boy's friends, which we will call the big bad dummies, bullied and harassed her and called her names, threw objects at her, and made her feel bad by making some nasty comments about her. So 14-year-old Fred felt horrible. 14-year-old Fred also had her friends who protected her emotionally and took care of her. Still, she had some questions in her mind, which are still floating on current day me, up to this day. How can people turn a blind eye on someone else's pain? How can people pretend not to notice someone else's suffering? How can people not understand a decision, particularly 14-year-old Fred's decision to wait a few months before speaking out? All of these questions can be essentially put into a simple single question. How can people be so unempathic? And so, with this question constantly in my mind, I set off on a journey to understand empathy. So let's start from the very beginning, with no complicated terminology or explanations, to begin to understand empathy and how important it is to us as individuals, how it's developed, how it works, and how by being empathic, we automatically become better human beings. This brings me to my first point. As I hope you're all aware, we are all human beings. Regardless of anything, we're human beings. And therefore, we're social beings. Yes, even if you love being on the couch for 20 hours without having any form of social interaction, you are still a social being, which psychology has proved repeatedly. The first to propose this was, a long, long time ago, Aristotle, because that's how long we've seen human beings as social beings. As he said, man is by nature a social animal. An individual who is unsocial naturally and not accidentally is either beneath our notice or more than human. Society is something that precedes the individual. Now, as social beings, this is the way we work, as explained by our beloved William Glasser, a chemical engineer turned psychiatrist. We have 5 genetically encoded needs: survival, love and belonging, power, freedom, and fun. And for all of these to be fulfilled, we need other people. How so, you may be asking yourself right now? And so I'll tell you. Survival. In order to survive, you might not necessarily need someone else, but you might find that having help from someone greatly boosts your chances of it. Love and belonging. You kind of need someone to make you feel loved and like you belong in order to feel love and belonging. Now, power. You need someone to hold power over in order to have any kind of power. Freedom. You need someone to be free from in order to feel free and to be actually free. And finally, fun. You could have fun on your own, but you might find that it is a lot easier to have fun when you have good company. Having covered the point of us being human and therefore social, let's move on. As human beings, we also have what I like to call a personal sphere. As individuals, we all exist within a personal sphere, which involves who we are and what and how we think and feel things. Therefore, everyone has a very different social and personal sphere. Based on early 20th century psychologist Lev Vygotsky's theory, we could say that our personal sphere grows through three different aspects, or three different types of experiences, really. Cultural and individual, but most importantly, interpersonal. Now, this interpersonal aspect of the sphere is essential to empathy. Empathy, as you might know, it's by its definition the ability to understand and sense what other people may be feeling or thinking at a certain time. In order to understand or sense what other people may be feeling or thinking, the interpersonal experiences within our sphere come into play. To empathize, we must have had a similar experience before, which should have triggered similar feelings or thoughts like the ones another person might be having right now. These feelings and thoughts, which are now a part of our personal sphere, resurface and help us understand things and understand feelings and understand emotions other people may be experiencing. I'll give you an example. Say, one day I fall down the stairs. I hurt my ankle, I cry, it hurts, and it absolutely sucks to be me. I move on. This experience is stored within my personal sphere. Later in my life, at some other point, I see someone else fall down the stairs and they hurt their wrist and they're crying, and I know it absolutely sucks to be them. Thanks to having had a similar experience before, I can understand the gist of it. Even though I twisted my ankle and the other person hurt their wrist, I can get that the person is crying because they're probably in pain, and it sucks to be in pain, and that their day is probably ruined, and that they're definitely very embarrassed. But I only get this because I went through a similar experience at some point in my life. This leads me to my next point. Having understood the concept of empathy, how it works, and what makes it operate, here's the next question. How can we become more empathetic? As we may have learned from the staircase analogy, the answer is quite simple. Experiences. Of course, this doesn't mean you're gonna go around asking someone to push you down their stairs or to bully you, just so you'll be able to empathize with those experiences. Becoming more empathic is not about experiencing everything you can possibly experience, but it's about being open to new experiences. Conor Habib, a philosopher who also happens to be a porn actor, and Duncan Trussell, a comedian, said this in an ancient episode of the Duncan Trussell Family Hour, which I happened to run into. Humans avoid pain by shutting down completely from many experiences, wandering through the world in a state of being completely shut down. This deprives us of so many bad experiences, which by denying, we condemn ourselves to never understand. Sure, heartbreaks are painful, new environments are really scary, and speaking out against big bad boys is certainly terrifying and very emotionally tolling. But how will we ever understand stuff and make changes into our lives and our perspectives if we never go through these experiences when we need to? However, there's also a very important part of experiencing things, by giving new perspectives to all experiences. It's also about, as I have personally come to believe, looking at experiences through a new lens. Falling down the stairs is not just an experience about pain. It's also about paying attention to what's directly in front of you and is obvious, such as the stairs. Facing big bad boys isn't just about dealing with unempathetic people. It's also about being strong, it's about being courageous, it's about facing fears, and it's about learning how to deal and endure with bad environments. Seeing experiences through a new lens is about seeing how an experience can help you empathize with different experiences based on a single common factor they may have. It's about constantly trying to see new ways to relate to others. So someday, if I see someone fall off a tree while climbing or face plant in the middle of a hall, I might not have that very same exact experience. But thanks to having fallen down the stairs, I can empathize with the physical pain, I can empathize with the embarrassment, and I can get the gist of it. I might never get bullied because of my skin color, for example, but thanks to having been bullied for speaking out against a big bad boy, I can definitely empathize with someone who has been bullied for their race, because of the common factor that we both had to endure. So now, having said all of this, there's a final question that I'd like to answer. Hopefully, you aren't thinking it right now, but in case you're wondering, but how is empathy important? Why would I like to develop this skill? The answer is simple, my dear listeners. Empathy is the basis of all human understanding. So, being empathic helps us have better social relationships, and empathy helps us grow as individuals, become better human beings, and become just better social and sensitive people. Empathy is a value that leads to solidarity and to sorority. A beautiful example that I have found throughout my life is with the feminist movement in Mexico. As women, we've all experienced different things, but most of us have had unpleasant events involving males that can go from a catcalling in the street to rape. And if we haven't, we all know women who have. As women, we all empathize with the loss that comes from one of our sisters being killed. Because even though we haven't been killed, we can all empathize with the victims, who were women just like us, students, employees, daughters, friends, sisters, girlfriends. The feminist movement is one that is led by empathy and sorority, and the sorority that this empathy causes. If you don't believe in empathy and sorority, go to a feminist march in Mexico. What the world needs right now is people that have morals and values, and that are able to live in social environments and thrive in social relationships. Empathy boosts both. That's why we need empathy. To close off, I wanted to leave you with a representation of empathy. While creating this TED Talk, I came up with the empathy tree. Essentially, it's a graphic representation of the way empathy works. The empathy tree is designed to be easily understandable by anyone and easily memorable. It can be shown to anyone and everyone, and it essentially shows you, in a nutshell, what it took me around 13 minutes, give or take, to explain. Hopefully, either something I said in my talk or the empathy tree will grow around and stay in your life and become a part of your own personal sphere. So, the tree works the next way. The roots are experiences, and they need to be watered constantly with new experiences and new perspectives and with reflection and thinking. The trunk itself is empathy, and the resulting branches are unity, values, solidarity, sorority, and most importantly, human understanding and personal growth. Essentially, the branches are core components of what we need to be the people that the world needs right now. People with morals, people with social skills, and people that understand each other. I'll close this talk with a quick summary for you guys. If you were to remember one single sentence from this, I'd like it to be the following. As social beings, empathy is the core of human understanding, and by experiencing new things, we develop the skill. We grow personally and become better, kinder, more sensitive people, therefore creating a better world. Thank you very much.